All right, and we are live. Um, okay, great. Yes, hello everyone. We have enough folks for a quorum, which is great.
Anne
I
might be a
wanted
little
to.
bit busy today. Her daughter won
What?
the mayor race for mayor of Seattle. You see that?
Oh, that's excellent. I didn't see that. That's wonderful.
So I saw that and I couldn't quite remember if I knew her daughter was the mayor, running to be the mayor of a big West Coast city. And was it really Seattle?
Yeah.
That's
Yes, it
great.
Wow,
was. Yeah, Katie Wilson. There was a
Yeah.
article about her in the New York Times.
Yeah.
that's
Cool.
very cool. I'll have to look into that. That like to read more about her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
I I
exciting.
I Googled it just thinking it was Anne, but the names weren't correlating and wasn't certain enough that that's the city she'd mentioned to me, but she was born in Binghamton, it was almost pulling together.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Another
And I know,
socialist Democrat.
Yeah.
yeah.
That's two Anns that we know from Freeville who have daughters who are mayors of major cities. Ann Rhodes' daughter is mayor of Madison, Wisconsin. So that's pretty amazing, really.
We're going to have to start
Yeah.
calling it the Dryden effect.
Yeah.
Anna Tyler, you hearing that? Got to grow up and be mayors of big cities.
Yeah. Um, I know that Joe said he would not be able to join today. And Ashley from Southern Tier 8 wrote that she wasn't able to join as well. Um, I think, are we missing anyone else uh, that we were expecting? I think we're good otherwise. So, aha, Christina. She should
Yes.
be joining here. Um, so let's start with reviewing the October minutes. Um, does anyone have any edits or changes that they'd like to see in those minutes?
Good.
They look good to me.
Alrighty. Thank you as always, Gina, for writing those.
Sure, my
Um,
pleasure.
is there a motion to approve the October minutes? Alice moves. Is there a second? Marie seconds. All in favor of approving the October minutes? Alrighty. All right. So we're going to kick things off, just sort of taking a few minutes to think ahead for the Spring Repair Cafe, which I know is still a little ways off. But I wanted to just kind of keep that on the agenda just for us to keep thinking about it. So last time we had talked about pulling together a list of the fixers and then maybe getting them on the website. So I thought we'd start there. Marie, is there any chance that you've had the opportunity to pull together that list of fixers? I am not hearing you, Marie.
Could be your microphone.
Well, while you troubleshoot that, Marie, if you want to, we can circle back once the mic situation has resolved. I think there's also a um, like a phone number that you can call into if that's easier to do like audio calling in, but I imagine it's more complicated that way. So one of the additional things for the Repair Cafe was just thinking about the information that we have on the town website. So we talked about, wanting to put the list of fixers, but um, I'll put the link in the chat here of what we currently have up for the Repair Cafe. And um, something we can consider is, if we want to put any additional information up there. Um, it's currently listed as a like sort of sub page under the Climate Action Committee. Let me put the link in the chat here.
Great. So there was some question last time about whether or not we can list individuals that that contributed to this. We don't want to be advertising for individual businesses, but it's a nice thing to be able to list the people who volunteered to help us in this. That's the intent of this, right, Jack? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So it would just be listing, saying, these are the folks who volunteered at our prior Repair Cafe meeting. And I think there was some precedent with that with another town um, committee. I'm forgetting which, but some precedent of listing. Um,
Can we generically say what they did without mentioning a business?
I think so.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah,
Great.
I can, Christina, you might know, but I can double check with Cassie at the town, but I
When
imagine.
I checked with Cassie and she didn't have any problem adding them, but then Marie had expressed concern that she wanted to reach out to the people first to get
Mhm.
information instead of
Yes.
listing them.
Good.
Okay,
The
yeah.
other group you were talking about was the agricultural committee. They were talking about doing like the farm stands and stuff. And I asked Cassie and she said she never had information on that. So I was going to reach out to the ag committee.
Okay, I see.
That
So, mhm.
I'm the one
Yeah.
who mentioned that, and that was many, many years ago, at least a decade, well, long before Cassie's time.
Okay.
And I think what I was mentioning was that there was a movement afoot to do that, but I don't think that they ever succeeded in getting an ongoing listing of fresh food opportunities in our town. I think was the idea.
Okay.
Farm stands, but I was sort of digging back through my memory bank because I remembered when they were working on that, but I don't think they ever finished it. I don't think I think there was some obstacle and never happened.
Okay.
But it sounds like, if I'm understanding correctly, that from the town side of things, there isn't an issue. Am I understanding that correctly? It's
Right.
just, yeah, it's just a matter of us getting that information together.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. So I guess, if y'all have a chance to peek at the Repair Cafe webpage, um, if anyone is willing and interested in, you know, adding a little bit more to this, I think that would be wonderful. I know one thing we could consider adding is the sort of write-up that Marie had written of just sort of kind of recapping the prior Repair Cafe. Um, so I think that would be great to put up. But do folks have other ideas of, anything we'd want to put on this webpage just to, hopefully draw some more eyes on it? Yeah, Alice, go ahead.
I think a link to the wonderful video that Jerry Wiley created is a perfect. The website is a perfect place for that. It's worth 1,000 words.
That's a great idea. Yeah, I can reach out to Jerry just to see if she's okay with us putting that. I know it's like publicly listed on YouTube, but just to make sure it's okay with her. Um,
That combined with Marie's write-up, really, and maybe a couple of still photos that were taken, and I know there's a cache of them. That tells the story perfectly, I think.
Wonderful. Yeah, I think that'll be a really great start. Any other additional thoughts on the webpage? Yeah, Evan, go ahead.
I had things that were open covering. I didn't see that I was muted. Um, so I hit your Town of Dryden website and looked at the Repair Cafe, and there was a link there, and I hit that link, and Norton's telling me that the townofdryden.gov is a dangerous website, and there's some huge threat category for it. So I don't know.
Does it say
W
town
W
town of Dryden and town of Dryden NY.gov?
NY.gov. Yeah, I
Yeah.
clicked the link on the Repair Cafe page, and it's telling me I can't go there. Just
So
FYI, I don't.
it sounds like the redirect to the repaircafe.org webpage is what's drawing that. Is that right?
Um, I'm on the redirect to the page that says Repair Cafe Dryden. I was reading about it, Climate Action Committee, and there was a link for the Repair Cafe. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever.
It's to like a
It's
national repair cafe group. Yeah, mine kind of came up too. It was a little bit different, but it just said that they have cookies and it asked if I wanted to proceed.
okay. Whatever. I don't need it. Sorry.
No, that's good to be aware of, so I appreciate that. Marie, I see you're back.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. I've switched computers and I lost that whole discussion. It's okay. And what I was saying or trying to say was that I have sent out a note to all of the fixers who were at the Dryden Repair Cafe, asked them if I could put their name on the town website. Some of them said yes, some of them said no. I'm conflicted on whether that's actually a good idea or not, to put those names up.
I think if you're putting the pictures in the video, I don't even think it's necessary, really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think having the video up there is the best advertisement that we could do.
Okay, that sounds good. So we'll hold off on putting up, listing out the volunteers and just stick with the video, the write-up that you did, Marie, and then some of the photos. I think that'll
Or
be a good.
perhaps when April 18th gets closer, you can put up people who said they will be there. So if somebody goes to the website, they'll see. Yeah.
Subtle pressure
That'll be
there.
a whole different thing. It'll be
Yes.
and be promoting
Yep.
another repair cafe. Yeah.
Yep.
Excellent. Well, that sounds great. Just to keep us moving here, I'm going to jump to the next thing. So, Gina, I'm going to kick it over to you to talk to us a little bit about just the webpage update for the Climate Action Committee.
Well, if you're on the same page, just click on Climate Action Committee. And you have our blurb that everybody had taken a look at. So we put up the picture of our silver certification because it had bronze on it before. And then the picture of all of us standing in front of the EVs. We kept the greenhouse gas inventory, we have the mission and bylaws and just our names, and then standard approved meeting minutes and such. This is longer. I know I looked at the other boards and committees, and this is longer than the other boards and committees, but I think it's fine because my intention was to explain how we got to where we are. And I think, don't let me put words in your mouth, but I think that when Jack and Alice, we talked about this, you guys agreed with that.
Yep. No, this is great. It really tells people what we're doing and have done.
Yeah. Thanks.
And we're the newest of the advisory committees, I believe. So people may wonder where we come from. I think that explanation is excellent.
Good. Okay. And as time goes on, if somebody thinks of something else we want to put up there, this is not something that's got to stay up here forever. We can put new things up there, change things around, make it shorter, whatever you like.
Great.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, thank you again, Gina, for writing
Sure.
that and coordinating, getting it up on the website. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and Cassie's always really helpful, so thanks to her too.
Mhm. All right. The next thing on the agenda, we have a good amount of time. We have about like 35 minutes carved out for this to discuss the kind of written comment on zoning, proposed zoning changes for regarding data centers here in Dryden. So I'll put the link to that document that we're working off of in the chat here. Um, keep in mind this is a draft and is not you know still in the workshop stage. Um, but I thought that we could take some time to talk about this. I know there was a lot of emails that went back and forth. I'm sure some folks caught some of those, but maybe not everyone, just because there was a flurry of conversation, which was wonderful. But I thought it'd be good for us to, recap some of that here, but also discuss how we want to make changes to this comment to make sure it's reflecting the full committee, with the exception of our town staff and town board members that are part of the committee, um, that it reflects all of us, but also is still, making a strong stance. Um, so let me pause there and I guess just open it up for comments, either, things that y'all have already emailed or any additional thoughts. How are folks feeling with this comment as it's written currently? Yeah, go ahead, Alice.
Um, I feel good about how it's written so far. I like the fact that it says we prefer to ban them, but if you do choose to, if you do choose to allow them with restrictions, here are restrictions that we recommend. Um, there are a couple of things that I know Joe Wilson asked for, the latest copy and kind of a report from town board members about where folks stand at the moment about this. And just for context, I want to be sure I understand this coming Thursday. This is up for a vote. Am I right, Christina? No. Oh, okay, good. Well, can you give us context for what's
This
happening with
week,
this?
this week we set the date for the public hearing. So the public hearing will be at one of the December meetings.
It'll be one of the December meetings. Okay, good.
So this
So
week we're just setting the date for the public hearing.
okay, good. So we got this as a final draft, but we still have time to make some comments. Okay, I'll pass it to Tyler. I have one more thought after that, but I'll I'll hold on to it for a minute.
Thank you. So you guys, we discussed earlier having the Dryden Sustainability Club writing a letter with our opinions as well. And so then would that need to be presented on Thursday at that meeting, or would that be something that we also have time to look more towards the future with?
Yeah, you'd have more time for that. I had mistakenly said that the hearing or the public comment was this coming Thursday. I think at our last meeting I had mentioned that. But I was a little bit too eager, I think. So yeah, it sounds like we'll have an idea of when the public hearing is after the board meeting on this Thursday. So we can make sure we send something around. But yeah, we'll still have some time to kind of make changes to this. And for the Sustainability Club comment as well.
And I'm assuming that they can present that at the public hearing.
Yes.
I would think, Tyler, that if you show up with some other people, Hannah and whoever, that present it at the public hearing.
Yeah, that's what we would plan to do, whether we have a small cohort of people willing to come to the meeting so far, and we worked on it even today in Sustainability Club. We worked on a letter that we were feeling rather strongly about.
Great.
Okay.
Evan.
So two questions. Just back to that. And I've never gone, been decades since I've gone to a town meeting. If someone's presenting something like that to the board to show their support or they're against whatever, do they take or need a few minutes to at least briefly say the top level? We're presenting this from the sustainability group on behalf of Dryden High School students, and we are generally opposed to this, and here's why. And then I don't expect there to be a lot of discussion, but or do they just say here and hand it off?
You can do either, Evan. You can read it into the record, or you can
Okay.
just to submit it. But reading it into
Okay.
the record would mean that anybody coming back to look at the meeting notes or the meeting video would hear it instead of looking for an
Mhm.
attached document. So you
Okay.
can do either. But you should time it, Tyler, so that it stays into 3 minutes. Because if it goes over, you might be cut off. If you wanted to read it into the record.
Okay, and would that mean that when we read it into the record, would that be like we read it out loud to everybody that's there that night?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's your choice. You can choose to do that. And also the members of the Sustainability Club don't have to be just one voice. Any number of you can go up and speak, and each of you will have 3 minutes.
Oh,
Okay, yeah, I think Hannah and I had at least discussed going back and forth as we presented this letter, but I don't know. There might be other people throughout the club who would be interested in partially reading it as well.
cool.
That's great.
All right.
Yeah.
So
I-
aside from having, I'm sorry, aside from having that clarified back to our letter, Jack, I assume you or someone will read it, or are we just going to present it? Okay.
Well, I'll plan to read it unless anyone else is really jazzed about reading it, in which case
Yeah.
go for it.
And
But otherwise,
specifically to the content, in hearing people talk about this, I don't, this is like, we're talking about what we want to put in there. I think we need to say something about, there's no significant benefit to the town to allow them to do this. There aren't masses of jobs. Nobody's going to use that. It's not like they're going to set aside a few kilowatts or megabytes of processing for the local people. It's a worldwide resource. It's going to be used by whoever pays for it. And maybe some tax payment, but there's no real benefit to the town. And I think we need to put that in there somewhere.
yeah,
I don't know what other people think.
Oh, yeah,
I agree.
that's the whole
And-
point. There's no benefit to doing this. We don't have to participate.
Yeah, absolutely. And so everyone who the link that you all have like suggesting or commenting access. So you can write exactly what you think should go in there, um and then we can, incorporate. I can, truthfully from my end of things, my capacity is a little bit limited.
Yes.
So if you are willing to write kind of those thoughts out, that would be super helpful. And then we can, we'll continue workshopping this before the December public hearing. But just, to get those ideas down, Evan and Marie, if you're willing to sort of write some of that in, I think that would be wonderful. Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
I have a content question that I'd love to discuss with folks a little bit before I write something. I saw that Joe Wilson also said it would be good to check with town board members about where they stand on this. And in the course of talking with Dan Lamb about rail trail issues, because he's our liaison, I took a minute to ask him, where he stands, where he sees the legislation going. And there were a couple of things that he said that then I went back and read through the proposed law, and I want to kind of comment on and throw it out for folks. One is that I understood from my conversation with him that we could require the center developer to use renewable energy. But I look in the content of the language of the what's called the final draft, and it says encouraged. And I agree with Joe Wilson that unless we're clear both about what is required, encouraged is, from my point of view, encouraged is nothing. They can take it or leave it. But required, um, I would prefer if that were the language there. That's a really, and it needs to be new renewable energy, at least under the encouraged language that's there now. So that's one thing that I'd like to throw out for discussion. And actually, I don't know legally if we're allowed to require that one type of business uses 100% renewable energy and not require that other new businesses use 100% renewable. So I might be just barking up the wrong tree in terms of saying, suggesting a change in that language. Maybe Gina, you know, as a planner, whether we could say required.
I don't think there's any prohibition on doing it, but also I don't think that you're expected to know. And you can ask for whatever you want, right? And then the town board and the planning board can filter things that can't be done. I'm not trying to back off on like I can look it up myself, but I'm just saying I don't think that this board should be inhibited on what they're asking for by like, well, will it fly, will it not fly, is it, why not? I mean, there you can really ask for the moon with these companies. And Tony Salerno had given a presentation on it saying you can ask for whatever you want.
Okay.
And another thing you might think about doing is marking up the draft yourselves, saying here's how we would change the draft if we had our druthers.
Yeah, I started to do that, and I have one more suggestion for it, but thank you for that clarification, Gina, and I see Marie, so I'll come back after you comment on this suggestion.
Well, I was going to have something to say about what you commented, Alice. If we put in a requirement that they use renewable energy, I think, and I forget who said this, that we have to require that they actually either put up or have somebody put up more solar panels, because I could say, I'm using renewable energy. I belong to a community solar farm. And if we've got a data center signing up to use our currently generated renewable electrons, then where does that leave the rest of us? Right? I mean, they're going to say, well, we're using all of these.
Yeah.
So there's got to be language in there somehow
Yeah.
that requires them to, I don't know what. They use so much energy. Where can they put those solar panels?
Yeah,
And
there's,
so,
go ahead.
sorry, I was just going to point. So there, we do have a bullet point in the current written document that's saying, if the town board decides to proceed with the planning board's recommendation, the CAC urges the town board to include the following provisions. And one of them is to require any increased electrical demand from data centers or cryptocurrency mines to be sourced from an equal or greater amount of new renewable energy generation. So there is that part written in currently.
Good.
Um,
And
but
the
I'd
word is,
welcome any
and it is require. So
requirements.
as written. So that's good. Yeah, that's excellent.
I personally would love to see this group make as many recommendations as you can think of. Because I think it's important for us to make sure that if you feel this way, you need to tell us. Because I don't know if the zoning advisory group thought of everything. So I would be thrilled if this group came up with some more ideas.
Good. Okay, good. I have one more. Um, and that is that the current language, and I don't think we addressed this in our letter, the current language says that the proposed data center could be limited to 5,000 square feet. We've debated about whether little smaller would be better, but that's what they've got right now. Um, so we could say smaller in this. And a second factor in addition to that is it names one in each light industrial district. And I was saying to Dan, well, does that mean then that we could have two 5,000 square foot ones? And it does at the current wording of that language. But so challenged on that, Dan said, well, we could also include a provision that they not be more than that there be at least 2 miles between those data centers. So I measured the two light industrial districts, and from Hallwoods Road to Emmy's Organics, which are two things that I know in each of those, it was 1.92 or something miles. So I don't know exactly how to word that, but the two suggestions I'm making here are smaller. At least we can recommend a smaller footprint, number one. And number two, we can set a distance that means that apart for the data centers, that means that there can only be one in one of our light industrial districts because of the distance apart.
Yeah, thank
Any
you.
any sense as so the light industrial districts kind of limits it, but if someone in the future opens another light industrial within the town, but more than 2 miles away, then we can have another 5,000 square foot one in the town
But that
downstream. Yeah,
that
I
would
don't.
that would require a new zoning designation.
Mhm.
It's unlikely,
Okay.
having worked on the comprehensive plan upon which this zoning update is created, is predicated, it's unlikely that there's another, to me, that there's another
Mhm.
area in our town because we have so much ag district.
Yeah. And is there adjacent town where they could build one and they're still off Nashville or Nisig, but they're so the power isn't limited to those zones. They could so if they get one in Groton that's really close, then that's still sucking power. And they might yeah. Okay.
Lansing.
Actually, I think
Yeah.
Groton
Yeah.
has their own power company.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Bad
Lansing-
example.
Lansing is a good example, though. Yeah.
Yes, because they're fighting that now.
Yeah.
And
And I see you have your hand raised. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So as I was thinking about it, I'm less concerned about the footprint in terms of square footage on the ground. There's lots of, it's a big building, but it's not huge. But it's what we're really talking about is the megawatts and the power usage, right?
Mhm.
And written into that, as I read it, was 5,000 square feet, one megawatt or something like this. So I would be for putting something that regulated repeat efforts. Like I could come in and I could put a 300 square foot, I don't know, that used 5 megawatts because of the way I've got it stacked. And so the thing that I would go for is to total no more than 1 megawatt or something like that, so that we are not allowing the the building of anything that would require more than that 5,000 allowable thing. Because what we really would say there is you'll have to figure out a way to get renewables. And the renewables right now, that's a stop. That's a no right now, because we know they can't use all renewables because we haven't got the storage capacities in batteries. And they need continuous influx of electricity that, our current renewables can't do 24/7, not in this climate.
Do do ESCOs count as renewables? If you purchase electricity from a company that promises and crosses their heart, it's all hydro and wind. Does that count?
I
Again,
don't know. I don't know the fine print on
Yeah.
there.
but
As
again,
we
if they're signing up to use all of these electrons, then where does that leave us as residents who would like to have those renewable electrons coming into our house?
Yeah, and I think that um, I think by putting in that we're requiring new renewables, that we're requiring renewables in and of itself, those are all going to be restrictions. And then I'd like to set a maximum energy load that could be added regardless of your footprint. I mean, these things are all going to they're all going to be trying to get more efficient. The other thing I just wanted to throw out there, and then I'll shut up, is I'm really concerned about the cooling and the water usage. There's a high water table here. It can be plumbed, and its effect, if you pull off the water table, in many areas will be to lower marshes and, the water table in a very wide area. I was going to bring it up today, the Owasco Lake Management, for which I'm a liaison from a conservation board. I didn't bring it up, but I'm going to put it on their agenda next time. I'm just curious what the Owasco Lake group is thinking in the future about what they're going to think to do to keep people from wanting to build something and use that freshwater lake. I mean, we're already worried about Cayuga and Lansing. So I just want to say another problem that they will have to come forward and with a generally environmentally sound solution would be the use of water.
would you be willing to write like
I'll put
a
that
little
in.
or suggest? Yeah, that would be great as our biology expert. That'd be wonderful. Thank you. Yeah,
From the
Evan,
point
go
of view of a fish, right?
ahead.
So we could put in wording requiring a closed loop system. They get expensive and they don't want to do that, but they can cool with a closed loop system and then use air to take the heat out of the water or
Right.
however. And a lot of the open loop ones, they're just dumping more hot water, warm water back into the source. I don't know how that works in a groundwater. I mean, I know what they do with Cayuga Lake. I just don't know if you're drawing it out of a well, can you just dump hot water out the back door and let it soak back in?
I hate to think, but I wouldn't put it past. I mean, if it's not written somewhere, they can. That would be my view.
Yeah.
And everything goes downhill around here. There's 2 lakes.
Yeah. Yeah, Gina, go ahead. And then Alice, we'll go to you after.
I do believe it says in the proposed language for closed loop water cooling.
That was just what I was going to read, Gina.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to say is, I don't know if you all been paying attention, but our federal wetlands protections are in danger of going away. So that might be something to consider.
Mm. So I'd like to read what it says in the proposed local law, because I'm not sure I understand that it says what we want it to say. It says neither public water, non-private well, nor private well water shall be used for direct single pass or evaporative cooling to limit water usage requirements. Is that what we want it to say?
Sounds awkward to me.
Mhm.
Might be better to have them list the things that they can't do, like rather than working it into a sentence. Say it's
Yeah.
going to be closed loop. It shall not use any of these water sources for cooling.
So
Or
that's
affect
another,
any of these water sources.
so that's another thing to write up in our list of suggested changes.
Right.
Yeah. I think it sounds like they didn't want to say you have to use closed loop. They're saying you can't use all the others, which,
Like if they wanted to truck in water to, yeah. But that doesn't take care of the problem, right, of
mhm.
dumping warm water or hot water into our water.
Yeah. We have like 7-ish minutes that we had planned to continue talking about this, and I want to switch over to Tyler and Hannah just to hear kind of with what you all are working on with your letter, and I guess with your comment, like how we can help support with that as a committee as a whole, if you'd like support, and also just sort of generally what you all are thinking of for your comment as a whole.
Yeah, well, like I said, today in the Sustainability Club, we had our meeting, and then we worked a great deal on our statement. And I think I had messaged with Jack earlier, I don't know, sometime this month, and we had discussed a couple of the points that had come across as we were writing it. And I think one of the points that we came across was the discussion of whether, we could push for whether we should push for 5,000 square feet or an outright ban, because we had been discussing whether if we don't strike a reasonable bargain, then we might be brushed off. And so we, discussed that and are making plans around that.
Yeah, we also, it was either if we should talk about what we preferred, like the 5,000 square feet or an all right ban, but we also, another option could have been just bring data points and our opinion on it rather than like having a recommendation specifically for them.
I, I want to just mention that as you're thinking about it, you're kind of in the same place I was. It sounds like that the 5,000 square feet was the operative um, um, way that we could kind of restrict them. But I'm convinced now by this discussion that limiting the number of megawatts and requiring new renewable energy are other things that we can do to restrict it more effectively. Even I just hadn't occurred to me that the square footage wasn't the be all and end all, because maybe they could stack up to the sky. There's also a limit on height, but I think it's helpful to think in terms of megawatts. So I appreciate that being introduced, and I just want to underline that for all of us as a way of thinking about this.
Yeah, and the planning board's recommendation was limiting it to 1 megawatt, which is what, at least as it's currently written, we have of like if the town board does not implement an outright ban, then we recommend doing what the planning board is recommending with these changes. And for context, the TeraWulf proposed data center is for up to 400 megawatts, so much bigger. 1 megawatt is, from what I was reading, around like 30 to 40 residential households energy usage. So it's still substantial, but far less than 400. So just to give context, because I know we start throwing out these terms and numbers, and it's like, what does that actually mean? So I want to throw that out there. And Marie, go ahead.
Couple of things that I'm concerned about here. I'm sure not a lawyer, and I haven't heard a lawyer weigh in on this. Back when we were fighting fracking, And we had a number of really good lawyers working on it. And they said, you can't regulate this industry. Now, I completely understand that data centers and fracking wells are apples and oranges, but I'm concerned that all of our language here is regulating. And what happens if a really good lawyer comes in and looks at this? What do they say? I just don't know. I am feeling so strongly that we should not allow this into Dryden, that I will read my own statement into the public hearing when we get there, and say, really, no. But that worries me, that we haven't had a legal voice come in and hear. Alice.
That was one of my questions too. And Christina, I want to just verify that I understand this correctly. The planning board was using input from the zoning update consultant in creating this law. And I understand that it's been reviewed by the town's attorney, Nate Van Wy of Coughlin Gerhardt.
Right. And he'll be at the public hearing also.
He'll be at the public hearing. So we have legal counsel. Um, I worked a little bit with Nate Van Wy when we were talking about whether or not we should go ahead with the legal justification legislation for community choice aggregation. Like 4 years ago or so, Marie, you and I and John Kiefer were working on that. And my sense is that Nate Van Wy and his firm are experienced, at least from that encounter, are experienced with environmental issues. But I don't, that's just an impression from prior work with him. Sounds like, Marie, you're saying it'd be great if we had pro bono, maybe legal advice in addition to just our own town attorney to consider this.
Yep. But
Mhm.
it would have to be somebody who was really used to looking at these kinds of environmental issues. There must be lawyers these days who are really honed in on data centers. But I don't know one.
Yeah. So it would be great if we could submit our proposed law to an expert. And didn't we, am I remembering correctly that Jack, did you share with us a resource that was at a larger jurisdictional level than ours, um, that are looking at the legality of somebody sent something about that, it seems to me, but I can't remember.
It's very possible. I don't recall.
Yvonne Taylor, who has put a lot of her own energy and time into protecting Seneca Lake, is one of the co-founders of what I understand is a national group now, that's wanting to get rid of data centers and cryptocurrency centers. I wonder if Yvonne, I will ask her, might know of a lawyer who's doing that work.
Can't hurt. It can't hurt, it seems to me, to have our proposed local law reviewed for suggestions. As Christina said, we're looking for all the input we can get.
Yeah, okay, I'll ask Yvonne.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, going back to what you were mentioning earlier, Marie, about, feeling very strongly about not even leaving the door open a crack with all these stipulations. I hear you, and personally, that's how I feel as well. I think as the climate action committee, like I think that I feel good about this balance that we're striking of saying we would really like to fully prohibit it. If you decide not to prohibit it, please include these stipulations because I worry that if the town board decides, well, we're not going to fully prohibit it, then if we don't include that part, then we might lose out on some of those stipulations that could otherwise protect the town. So that's kind of where I'm landing with it. But I certainly hear what you're saying of, really just not wanting to have the door open at all. I certainly get that. But yeah, Evan, we'll go over to you.
Just following up on that, this letter is from our committee. If several, one, two, or three people say they don't want to sign it, they want to speak their own, that they want it banned flat out, period, they're not on this letter. Do we need to be careful about which of us is supporting this, or is the full committee supporting it? Just so we're clear with people that Marie, you're on this committee, and if you stand up and speak separately, does that negate the whole committee thing? Do we need to list the members that are supporting? I don't know what the protocol is. I just want to.
I would certainly announce myself as speaking for myself alone.
Yeah.
Not as a member of this committee.
Yeah, but if this letter is signed the committee, now you're on two things. So I don't know.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'd listen to anybody who has an opinion on that.
Go ahead, Alice.
To me, it doesn't preclude being on the side of banning, and still being a signatory on this letter, because it says we prefer that you ban it. But if you don't, here's what we would hope you would require. So to me, it's not inconsistent. I think it's a great question, Evan, to ask, because we don't want to undermine the message of the committee as individuals. But in this case, I think because of the skillful way, Jack, that you and others have worded this, it isn't a contradiction to say, I'm one of the committee members that comes down very firmly on the ban it side.
And
Yeah, and maybe what we could do, and without undoing anything of Marie's intentions, which I think are fine, is that we could be a little more strong in our wording than prefer. And we could say that the committee strongly urges the decision to make the decision to completely ban it. And if we indeed our our advice or our whatever is overruled, then we absolutely stand behind these elements, which would at least give us some hope of regulating it. That kind of thing. And then I think if Maria comes in, it isn't that she disagrees with that, but she just wants to say for herself, the buck stops with banning it. So I think the word prefer is probably too weak for what I hear going on here.
I would agree. I can work on editing that too. I like strongly urges. I think that's much more representative of what we're saying.
Yeah. And just FYI to the rest of the committee, I'm on the side of banning it. It seems to me that this is a waste of time to try and address every little thing and try to figure out how we can make it, let them do it, but stop them from doing it. Just ban it.
And there's also a large issue of how much would it take to enforce whatever regulation gets passed, and how much time, energy, investigating, I don't know. It would be a lot.
Yeah.
I have not been made more confident that we would regulate it by watching what's happened out at the Dryden Lake, the earthworks. I mean, it took a huge amount of time, energy, local people's calling attention, conservation board waving flags, and as you know, I just that was an easy one, it seemed to me.
Yeah, I agree. That was something I brought up in the conversation where I was sort of pressing Dan about what Dan Lamb about what they were moving forward, and he said, "Well, I guess we could ask the code enforcement officers whether they feel they have the capacity." Um, yes, you could ask them. I can predict what they might say in terms of expertise. So I think that's good. It's addressed in our letter, the question of do we have staff bandwidth? It's important to get that question in there. I will say too, I got the sense in the conversation that on the question of banning versus defining and restricting, it sounds like our lawyer is advising the town board that there would be less liability if the question is well defined and restricted rather than banned. That's what I understood from my conversation with Dan. And we could press in on that, but I think that is the advice. I think that's what I understand is the advice. There, as folks may or may not know, there's a lawsuit already that's been lodged against the town for placing the moratorium on data centers for 6 months. And Gina, Christina, do you know anything more about that?
Yeah,
Any?
it's actually an 18-month moratorium. It expires in February. And Dan told us Thursday night what you just said. He said to you about the lawsuit.
About the lawsuit that our attorney thinks we'd be in a better position if we restrict.
Yeah, but I haven't heard that from the attorney. That was just from Dan.
It was,
There
it's him interpreting what the attorney said. Good point. Yeah. Yeah.
Is this a second lawsuit? Because I understood that the one that the gentleman who wanted to build right in Dryden, the guy from New York City, that he didn't file paperwork promptly and that was gone. Is this another lawsuit?
No, that's true, Evan, but he now has foiled for all of our
Okay.
research on, during the moratorium.
Yeah. Okay. Same guy.
Yeah. So there's active, and I think I heard Jason say there was some new communication from that litigation within the last week or so. So it's active. So that's important context for people to get. The town board is trying to seek legal advice to say what will put us in the best position, moving forward to save our resources, but also to position us properly in this lawsuit.
It's irrelevant too. I mean, there's no way this guy can even win because where he wants to put this data center is in a residential area. Like that's not going to happen.
Yeah. But he could, I suppose he could come back and say, I want to put it in one of these if we don't ban it, he could come back and say, well, okay, I'll build 5,000 square feet in this light industrial area. Anyway, that's all I had to say about the context.
Yeah. So we've had a lot of really great discussion and conversation around kind of what we want our comment to be. I invite folks to, suggest edits, make comments on this document. I know that like the Google Docs can be kind of a maze sometimes. So if anyone needs a hand just like navigating it, reach out to me and I'm happy to help. But I think it would be great maybe if over the next week or so, and I'll send an email afterwards. Like maybe in the next, maybe we'll aim for like before Thanksgiving, if we can try to get some of these comments in so that, after the Thanksgiving holiday, we can come back with fresh eyes and incorporate that feedback and really start refining what we'd like to kind of have as a final comment for the December public comment period. Does that sound like a good next step to everyone?
Yes, sounds like putting a final date on it is a really good idea.
Yeah. And I'll send an email out just to have something in y'all's inbox to prompt you. But maybe we'll aim for stuff by, let's say, the end of the day on the Wednesday before, I guess, next Wednesday. Thanksgiving is coming up. Yeah, Alice, did you have something?
Yeah, I just am looking at when the potential public hearing on this could be. It would probably be the 18th,
Probably.
Christine?
Yeah, probably. But if it changes, I'll let you guys know Thursday what we decide anyway.
Okay, good. Yeah, because it could be either the 11th or the 18th, but more likely the 18th, and we're scheduled to meet the 16th. So we could even put finishing touches on it at our December meeting.
And it doesn't guarantee that the town board is going to vote in December, because we could do it potentially in January. Depends on,
Especially if
especially if a lot of people show up to talk about it.
Yeah. Which from a democratic standpoint, that seems good, where it's like, let's take time and actually think about this feedback instead of we're voting tonight no matter what. So yeah. Excellent. So I am tempted to, or Gina, I guess if you want to just kind of plug the broader zoning comments, we sort of ran over for time, so I'm thinking maybe we'll jump to the share outs from intermunicipal efforts and other boards and everything. But Gina, do you want to plug really quickly the
I guess maybe after we're done with our work on this data centers issue, it would be great for this committee to go through the changes, the audit that the consultant came up with, and to say where we agree with them or where we don't agree or where we would make other changes. I think that's a smaller bite than just going through all of the zoning and all of the subdivision. But we could also do that afterwards. You know what I mean? So the Dryden Code is available online. It's searchable. We can make any suggestions that we want for changes. And like for this data center, I think that this group is acting very responsibly because, we are a committee, we're focused on climate change, we're focused on energy, and we would be remiss if we didn't comment on these things for when the town is working on them, because that's what we're focused on. So I think that it's great. And I don't think that we should shy away from making any kind of bold suggestions that we think the town needs to adopt. So anyway, if people want to go through the audit and make comments, what we did with the housing committee was we went through the audit and during a meeting, and I took notes and added them to a new draft, to an edit draft, and we submitted that to the planning board, and they liked that format. So we could just say, here we think this, and here we think this, and here we think this. We agree, and I'd be willing to, finish off that document. Maybe Jack, you and I can meet and polish that up. But we can talk, and while we're talking, if we all agree on these comments, I can annotate the report, the audit, while we're talking, and then we can all decide, we can vote on whether it's acceptable to all of us to present as a committee. But in addition to looking at the audit, I would, if anybody really enjoys looking at legal code, to just look at the code and say, wow, this is outdated, or this doesn't represent the comprehensive plan, or we really need to move beyond this, or whatever, you think we should do. We can discuss it. And then again, we can present here as additional, we're not limited to like a one-shot deal, and as this process is going on, we can do our part because we're the climate folks to remind them that these are the issues that we feel need to be included in the zoning.
Yep.
What's the rough timeline? I mean, is this one that's
Couple of
time?
years.
Oh,
Couple of years,
okay.
Evan. Yeah.
Okay, good. It'll take me that long to get to it.
No, then it'll be too late. Don't wait until a couple of years. Then it'll be done. Sorry I said that. 1 year, Evan.
Okay.
So I really like that idea, Gina, of, taking a meeting and just going through the document all together. I think that could be a useful way to do it. So I imagine December will be a little bit jam-packed preparing, this comment, but what would folks think about carving out a good chunk of our January meeting to, read through the consultant's review?
Yeah,
And if everybody has a copy and looks at it in advance, then we're not going to be starting cold.
Yes. Yeah, I would strongly encourage that because I think that'll help us, move through everything in one meeting's time instead of the 2-year timeline.
Yeah. Well, it did take the housing committee at least 2 full meetings and then like Martha and I to meet to polish it up. So it might go over, but
Sure.
we can shoot for 1 meeting.
And not to beat a dead horse, but I just want to clarify that what audit means in this context is a set of recommended changes to the town zoning laws that was created by the consultant that we hired to look at our new comprehensive plan and tell us her recommendations to bring that set of zoning rules into alignment with our comprehensive plan. Have I got that right?
And I think it's more beyond that too, Alice. It's in line with our comprehensive plan, plus modernizing,
Right.
getting rid of contradictions, errors, things that are causing a lot of problems. Like, for example, we have a law that says you can't have a structure in front of your house in your front yard, which we get most of our zoning appeals for that. And that law was simply because the planning director at that time didn't like how that looked. So things like that, to eliminate.
Yeah. This again in the local law that's before us right now, there is in the final part of it, there's a saying that says we could the town board, I think, in considering a special use permit for one of these things, could require a demolition plan. Like, how are you going to dispose of this facility?
Decommissioning.
Decommission. I'm sorry, I used the wrong word, decommission. But it has to do with potential demolition of materials on the site. And I've thought for a long time that it would be important and have mentioned before that that's the kind of thing that as a climate group we could pay attention to as a proposed change, that folks who want to build in our town should be responsible for disposing of the waste in a responsible way.
And that's all for all of the solar structure, all solar utility scale solar structure.
Yep. So it's exciting really to think about how we might make recommendations to our zoning laws as we're right. This is the opportunity, right? We're right in the update. So let's take a look at zoning and see how we can use it to promote our climate goals.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I think we'll plan to start kind of that thorough review in January. So I want to shift gears to talk about other town efforts. Hannah and Tyler, I know you've shared a bit of your update already. Do you have more to share on behalf of the Sustainability Club beyond the work that y'all are doing on the comment?
The only thing I can really think of is that we're making progress on the composting grant that we're working on with Gardening Club, which is pretty cool. We're currently trying to figure out meetings to kind of work together to plan that out, but it's been pretty cool.
Nice.
Excellent. Yeah, that's a very, very exciting opportunity for the composting. It'll be really cool. All right. Christina, we'll go over to you for any updates from the town board.
We have a budget for 2026, and congratulations, you got another $500. So, so you don't have to use the 1,500, but it's nice to know that it's there if you do want to use it. And then I believe congratulations are in order for Ann Stodder winning the Seattle mayor's race against the incumbent. Congratulations.
Thanks. Now she's got the job. But yeah, thank you. Made me a poor participant for the last little while.
That's all I have.
But we congratulated you in absentia before you got on, Ann. We didn't ignore.
And I should have more from the Conservation Board, and I'm going to punt on that. I don't have anything very big, and I should have pulled myself together better. And I don't think there was anything, except I did relay in the other direction that, we were considering the issue of the data centers.
Great. Yeah, thank you for that update. Gina, anything from the Affordable Housing Task Force / Planning Board?
Okay. So we put out an RFP for the study for that NYSEG Route 13 parcel. So that we should get the bids in for that by the middle of December. The housing group is going to meet with Amy Kremenek, the president of TC3, about those dorms that are for sale. So if you don't know that, there are 3 dorms that have been vacant for several years, and I don't know how they finagled it because it was a bond issue, but they're selling them. Also, David West, the county housing planner, has been doing that local motion series. I think I might have told you guys about that. A couple of weeks ago, I went to one of those presentations, and it was about pre-approved designs. So I don't know that planning department is too keen on that, or the building code is too keen on that. I think they feel that pre-approved designs would cost too much for us to commission. I don't know, but that's something. I mean, I can show you my notes on that. Let me see. Can I share, Jack?
Let me take a look here.
I think I can. Let's see.
You
Yeah.
should be able to now.
Yeah. All right. So the organization that put out this, it was a video, and then we discussed it. It's called Strong Towns, and they're an advocacy organization to improve life in municipalities in the nation. And so talking about, you can speed up a lot of the process for building if you have pre-approved designs. And you could save a lot of money because they could be done faster. The plans are chosen by each individual municipality. It's specific to our individuality. So if we want a certain look, we can look for plans that have that look. Like one place, they said they wanted, I think it was Indianapolis, they wanted to look cutesy. That was their aesthetic. So they chose cutesy choice designs. So the plans are sold. So as a planning department, we would sell to a builder. And there's up to 9 pre-approved, although this picture shows a lot more for Indianapolis. So I don't know. Development costs are reduced. Architect fees, of course, there's no architect fees. Time needed from start to finish. It's a compressed process. Building's expedited. They suggest that when you start doing it, you partner with a nonprofit, because they have all kinds of breaks and taxes and stuff to test it out, sort of as a beta version. At this meeting, there was a realtor and then a builder. So I thought that was promising because they were interested, in pursuing this. It's adaptable without being overly complex. Let's see. So, and they named a few of the municipalities that are already using it. And the only one that's close to us is this Groveland, Florida. But anyway, I don't know how much the county would help to make this happen, or, maybe Dryden could get together with several other smaller communities in the county and pay for the pre-approved designs. We have not gone anywhere on this, but I just thought I'd report to you what I was hearing.
Gina, are they all multi-family houses?
No, that's what Indianapolis chose.
Okay, so they do single family homes?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I volunteer with Habitat for Humanity, and I was just wondering if they might have interest in this, whoever this is, Strong Towns.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yeah, I'll bring it up with Shannon, the local director.
Yeah, and I think, one of the problems with the Muni is that the sense that I've gotten is that we don't want to do it without a nonprofit partner.
Oh, okay.
But
Yeah.
I think I'm even more excited about this other initiative called CrossMod. And this is a webinar that I went to, and I made my own little slides for it because I was so excited about it. So these are prefabricated homes, and there is a program from Homes and HCR, Homes and Community Renewal, New York State. You get a loan for all the steps needed to put these homes up, and it's zero interest. And when you sell it, you get the money back. So it's a win-win. Like the municipality ends up putting like nothing into this. You have to commit to putting up at least 10 homes. They're single family homes, and you have to have ready sites. That's pretty much what you do. So the basics, I mean, it's way too late this year, but it's something to maybe prepare for next year if we were interested. It's expected to be an annual continuing funding opportunity. Municipalities, land banks, not-for-profits are eligible to apply, receive interest-free, non-amortizing, partially forgivable loans to site and sell at least 10 CrossMod homes. They told me there was no limit. So if we wanted like hundreds of these, they said that that's possible. So that's kind of amazing. There is a list of pre-qualified CrossMod producers. There's some in New York State and close to New York State. You put out like a mini bid for them. You say what you want. And then giving away the store here. HCR will help with marketing plan. They did a pilot in Syracuse, Schenectady, and Newcomb, and they said it was successful, but I think it was only one house in each place. So that's not much of a thing to go on. The next round will fund homes in 15 communities. What else? CrossMod homes. This is interior. Pretty nice. Factory built single family residences, about 1,500 square feet. And don't ask for customization. I think, you can't have everything. you can't have, the program where it's going to work, where you have customization. Do your customization after you purchase it, It can be purchased, manufactured, installed in less than 6 months and costs about half the site of built homes, stick-built homes, site-built homes. The grant covers home purchase, delivery, site prep, clearance, prepping and installing foundation, permitting, utility connections, final punch list of items for a C of O, and a 6% developer fee. So we don't even have to have the expertise for that. We can hire a project manager on this grant. The municipality, what we have to do is we have to provide the building sites. We have to prepare the building site within 5 months of getting the award. We have to present a resolution from the town board. We have to provide evidence that we've, researched about Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac design guidelines, and that we've picked out the cross mods that are appropriate. A marketing study or analysis supporting the market demand, confirmed that we'll engage in that mini bid process I just mentioned, identify, process, and name partners, which could be like Habitat for Humanity, ensuring the homes are sold in a timely fashion to eligible buyers. The muni must not require a special use permit or other special administrative process to site the homes. They want this to go, boom, 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 and not be tangled up in red tape. Sites must accommodate tractor trailers for delivery. And then the awarded muni will need a retailer's license because we have to sell them. And so I think that would only be like one person going to an 8-hour online class and within 60 days of the award. So you don't even have to put forth that to begin with. You can wait until you get the award to invest that time in somebody doing that. The homeowners have a restricted 10-year covenant on resale, which makes sense because you don't want people buying these up and then jacking up the price. Right. Eligibility is 70 to 130% AMI. They want it to be averaged out to 100%. And there's a subsidy available for low-income buyers to overcome any appraisal gap. This is what they score on: need and impact, local support, readiness, and capacity to implement.
Wow.
So I was excited about that. I thought, they really covered a lot of bases here,
I see that Evan's asking for the slides, and I want to underline that. And I'd love to see those slides. And
these are my slides. You can also go to the program and get their slides.
Okay.
But I'll send you my slides. It's fine.
Good. Yeah. And Jack is also writing in the chat that Ithaca Neighborhood Housing is a likely partner, a potential partner for such a thing.
Yep.
Very cool.
We do lean a lot on Ithaca Neighborhood Housing.
Yeah. Can I ask for this and the previous project that you were describing, are these especially energy efficient homes? I see, I see them mentioning insulation, but are they going to be typically heated and cooled with heat pumps? What from our point of view as climate folks, are these going to
Yeah, I don't know that was specified, Alice. That's a really good question for us to verify with them first. Like, we don't want to invest in this unless it's going to be, climate smart.
super insulated and heated and cooled electrically, and
I agree.
Yeah. Good.
Local habitat houses are extremely tight and all using heat pumps.
Great. It's good to know. I know we're getting to the end of our time, but I have a question about something that you said earlier in your report, Gina. And I may be the only person who's interested in this, so maybe we could contract for time outside. But you mentioned that the town has put out an RFP for proposals to develop a NYSEG section. And could we hear a little bit more about that? Are you talking about some property near NYSEG, or what's that story? Marie wants to know too. Okay, good.
So I'm not sure of all these talks. There have been talks for a little while about a parcel that's about 100 acres that's near the NYSEG facilities on Route 13, where the owner, well, it's a little complicated because there are two owners who inherited this property. One of the owners died, and their heirs are contesting with this other person, but the other person wants to either donate or sell this property for development of affordable housing, and also like other community amenities, like maybe local stores and things like that. So it's a 100-acre parcel. There is a significant amount of wetlands on the parcel. So depending on how this dispute works out, if they cut it in half, we might end up with 25 acres because they get, 50 acres and only half of it's buildable. They there was already a feasibility study done on this site. So I think there's been, and I was not privy to any of these conversations, but I think there's enough confidence that this will eventually come into our hands, that it could be developed. So I'm sorry, I don't know. As I said, I'm not privy to these conversations. Maybe you could talk to Ray about why we're so why we're willing to put money into studying a parcel we don't own or don't have control over. That
That's
kind of,
what-
yeah.
That was my question. I do know about that property because the Dryden Rail Trail is seeking an easement across that section. It's one property that keeps us away from having being able to open the trail between Pinckney Road and Route 366
Interesting.
in Etna. So I've been involved in knowing about negotiations for this property for quite a few years now. And I just heard last week that the town was putting out an RFP for people who are interested in developing it, but we don't own it. So that's unusual in my experience that the town asks for ideas about a property that we don't own. But it sounds like one of the owners that we expect may gain that property is interested in working with the town. So must be the town feels confident enough that, as you said, we'll get there. And we're hoping that the rail trail will be an amenity for that site as well, folks. If there are residents building there, it fits our goals for walkable communities because
Yeah.
people could hop on the trail to get to various places.
Definitely be a selling point.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that clarification at
Yeah.
the last minute. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, putting all these ideas together, then maybe the cross mod might be a good way to go with that property, you know,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
That'd be
or the
cool.
pre-approved designs. So yeah, let me just finish my little report here. I attended the Land Use Leadership Alliance. I sent you 2 documents today that I got from them. And it was mostly really, I don't think it was mostly aimed at us, but it was for communities that didn't have the confidence to negotiate with solar projects. I think it was mostly aimed at that. Yeah, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to.
Excellent. Thanks, Gina. I know we're just about at time, but I want to make sure I leave space, Marie, for any updates you have from the zoning advisory group. No updates. All right, that's a quick one then. Yeah, Evan, go ahead.
Just a real quick one. Last week, 2 weeks ago, there was a 3-day seminar at Greek Peak on all things solar that I know some of the people from the town planning board went to. We could have, as town volunteers, attended that. I didn't hear about it until it was too late, but I know that Bill Griffin went.
That's what I was just mentioning.
Yeah. So I would be interested in going to that or similar things as a representative, as somebody on an official town committee, as in the future. If I'd known about it, I probably would have gone to that one. So I don't know if anybody else was aware of it, or it's supposed to be an annual thing now. I don't know, but yeah, we need.
I don't know that that'll be an annual thing. I think
Okay.
it was sort of aimed at, you know, as I said, giving municipalities more confidence in dealing with solar projects and companies. And so I don't think they want to necessarily repeat that every year, but I can, anytime that I get word about any kind of training, I can pass it along to this committee.
Yeah. Good. Thank you.
Mhm.
Well, thank you everyone for your time tonight. I will send an email just after we hop off the call here, just linking to that Google document with the comment. And again, we'll aim to incorporate the first round of feedback or first round of comments by next Wednesday, and then we'll keep working on that at our next meeting. But yeah, thank you everyone so much for your time, and I hope you have a great rest of your night.
Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah, happy Thanksgiving.
Same to all. Take
Mhm.
care.